And time to get your legal questions answered. If you haven't already, pick up that phone and give us a call, 256-536-0077. We have William Messervy, as you see there, from Timberlake and League, joining us this morning to answer those questions.
Good morning, William. Always great to have you in the studio.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Hey, let's jump right to the phone lines this morning, shall we? We've got Emma standing by. Emma, good morning. You can go ahead with your question this morning.
Yes, ma'am. My mother is being kicked out of her apartment, and the person is not giving me a reason why. Can they evict a person out of the apartment without a reason?
It's going to depend on the lease agreement, but most lease agreements, they will state that either party can leave the lease and exit the apartment or exit the premises within a certain amount of days or months. And so, the requirement in most leases is just that either the landlord gives 30 days notice to the tenant or the tenant gives 30 days notice to the landlord. So there doesn't always have to be a reason given for why they want to terminate the lease. It could be that they want to remodel or they want to not rent anymore. If it's an apartment, maybe they need to do maintenance. But in any event, as long as they've complied with the time requirement as outlined in the release, then they don't have to provide a reason.
Emma, thank you so much for calling. Remember, you can get your legal questions answered, 256-536-0077. Just give us a call.
Well, our topic today, while we wait for another caller, is what should you do if you get hurt as a passenger in somebody else's car? So we're going to check in right now and see what William has to say about that.
Well, it's going to be hard to cover it in the time that we have because it's kind of a confusing area of law that we have in Alabama. But in Alabama, we have something called the guest passenger statute. And what it says is essentially if you are riding with someone to somewhere else and that person is driving and you're a passenger or a guest in their vehicle, if they get in a wreck through their own fault, you can't recover against them. Now, if you are rear-ended by a third party, you would have a claim against the third party who rear-ended you just as you typically would. But say you're riding with someone and they're just not paying attention and they veer off the road and hit a tree, you're not going to be able to make a recovery for your injuries against the party who is driving. But there are a few exceptions to that rule in Alabama. One is if the driver was acting wantonly or recklessly, and that would be if they were drinking and driving or something along those lines. Secondly, if you were either paid for your ride or gave gas money, or if it was a carpool type situation or a business arrangement. So for example, we had a case where an elderly lady would go with another elderly lady to help her with her grocery shopping every week, and we were able to recover in that scenario for her. And then lastly, you can make a recovery if the person is driving erratically and you start to protest against the way they're driving and asking to be let out of the vehicle. And so, if you're a teenager and you're riding around with someone and they're driving recklessly or driving extremely fast, you could say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. I need you to let me out at the next stop, or, pull over at the gas station, let me out. And if you say something along those lines, then that also gets you outside of the Alabama guest passenger statute. So it gets a little convoluted and very fact specific, but by and large, if you're riding with someone else, you may not have a claim for bodily injury if you're hurt in a car accident.
Well, we do have Chrissy on the line right now with a question. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Okay, my question is, my sister saw two men arguing, and one of them had a gun, and he said he was going to use it. So she called 911 and reported it and gave the information, description, and everything. And now she's being subpoenaed to testify, and she's upset. She's very sick. She doesn't want to go. Could she get out of it?
Potentially. She'll need to talk with the district attorney's office or whoever it is that has issued her a subpoena, or see what accommodations can be made given her physical health. But, in criminal settings, just like in civil settings, the prosecuting party, in this case the district attorney's office, they're going to need witnesses for the criminal trial to say what it is that the accused, did or did not do and what that person witnessed. So it is important, but you can reach out to the district attorney's office and see if any accommodation can be made based on your mother's health.
All right. Well, we are out of time for
Yeah.
this Law Call segment. William Messervy, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here as always.
And of course, if you didn't get your question answered, remember you can always call our friends over at Timberlake and League and ask them directly. We'll be right back.